Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Today's session is going to be a hard row. This one sits in the middle of my intensity pyramid, so it's not bottom, it's not top, it's the middle. See, that's how middle works, isn't it? Yeah. So this is just going to be a hard one that's going to make you work hard, but it's not going to completely push you to a point where you're going to be absolute exhaustion. You are going to be up there in terms of pace-wise, but it's going to be something you gradually build into and then you get a rest, okay? Because what we're doing today is we're going to do 3 15-minute intervals with 2 minutes rest in between. That doesn't sound very exciting, does it? Well, each of those 15-minute intervals we're going to break into 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute sections. No rest in between, it's just we're going to run them into each other. And we're going to start off at 20 strokes a minute in 2k plus 18 pace, and then the 4 minutes we're going to do 22 strokes a minute 2k plus 15, then 24 strokes a minute 2k plus 12, then 26 and 2k plus 9, and 28 strokes a minute 2k plus 5 to finish. Okay, so this is going to be a gradual push through each of these 15-minute intervals. Now, if you're doing this as part of the 10k plan, then this is week 4, session 5. Don't worry, you don't have to be part of the 10k plan to enjoy this session. I'm just saying this for those folks that are doing it that way, because what this is going to do is it's going to teach you this kind of idea of negative splits, of going faster and faster as you get through a session, and really looking at how your stroke rate and the power from your legs are used in combination together in order to increase your pace and your stroke rate at the same time. Okay, so everything just kind of rolls into itself. I will talk more about the session when we're doing it. There's no point me talking about it now. So for the time being, let's get into a 4-minute warm-up. Now, we always start off by setting up our machine and head straight to drag factor first, which is the lever on the side of a Concept 2, and set it to where you want it to be. Now, if you don't know where you want it to be, then you can check out the video I have on this channel. I've got mine set around about 120 right now. That might be where you want to set it. You might want to set it somewhere else. It's up to you. If you're not on a Concept 2 and you're using a different machine, then set the resistance or drag wherever you want it to be. But basically the guide is make sure you get a good kind of resistance from the stroke, but not so much that you're having to heave against it with your upper body, okay? Remember, this is all from the legs rather than upper body. Next up, if you can, set your monitor to eye height so you're not having to look up and not having to look down, which affects your posture. And finally, if you can set this foot stretcher height, set it to a point where you're able to come to the front of the machine with your shins pointing vertically with comfort, okay? Now, as a guide, that means that the strap usually covers around about the balls of your feet, but you might want to just make sure and like adjust it up and down a little bit just to see that you are comfortable to get to the front of the machine. All right. We'd get to the warm-up a lot quicker if I chopped out that little part of it, but it is quite important that you set up your machine right. So 4-minute warm-up, we're going to do this at 18 strokes a minute, and we're going to start off with round about the first minute with the power is really just going to be a gentle push from your legs that you can work with work on the timing between your leg drive and your arms picking up the handle at the same time, okay? So don't worry about pace, just connect with your legs first. Right, stop talking, John. Let's just start rowing. So in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So enough of a push that you are connecting your feet into the foot plate and that you know that that power is coming up into your body, through your body, and should be coming in to your arms and your hands. Because what you want to do is work on the timing so that as you push into the machine with your feet, that is the exact moment that your hands connect to the flywheel or water wheel or whatever it is that you're using. And that's how you make sure that all of your available power is efficiently going into the machine, and you're not wasting it by scooting your backside out before your legs connect to the machine, or by pulling on the handle too soon and not allowing your legs to really push that well. And once you've got that timing right, just put in a little bit more of a push from your legs. Try to get close to 2k plus 20 pace. And if you don't know what I'm on about, when I keep saying about 2k plus pace, then what I mean is you row a 2 kilometer time trial, divide the resulting time by 4, and that gives you the average time it took you to cover 500 meters in your 2k time trial. And that is your 2k training pace. So then when I say row at 2K plus 10, you just row 10 seconds slower than your 2K training pace. Okay, one more stroke. Let's put one foot on the ground, continue rowing. Whew. Quite out of breath today. I think I was trying to cram in way too much information for the first 2 minutes of this warm-up. Good thing about today's session is because you're starting off at 5 minutes, 20 strokes a minute, that's going to help you get more warmed up too. Let's swap feet, continue rowing. So even if after this 4 minutes you don't feel fully warmed up, as long as you're nicely eased off, your back is rocking forwards and backwards, then you will get warmer as you go through the first interval, don't worry. Okay, 2 strokes, one more, and then let's put both feet back in, and then just row with our back and arms. So swing over your hips, pull in your arms, and then push out your arms, swing back over your hips. And this hinge backwards and forwards over your back, and the order of back, arms, arms, back is absolutely vital to rowing. It's worthwhile spending time working on this. Right, now let's roll to the front of the machine with straight arms and the forward lean, and just press out from the front. You don't have to worry about how hard you're pressing. What I want you to do is concentrate on holding this forward lean and arms straight, but also trying to work on that timing that we were working on at the beginning of this warm-up. So don't push too hard, just work on the timing and your position. One more, I know we're done, but one more. Right. Keep on moving up and on the rail, have a quick drink, and I will describe one more time what we're doing today, and then we'll start our main session. Okay then, so today's main session is 3 15-minute intervals with 2 minutes rest in between. But we're going to break up those 15-minute intervals by doing them as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minutes. That first 5 minutes you're going to do at 20 strokes per minute and at 2K plus 18 pace. Then you're going to go up to 22 and 2K plus 15, then 24 and 2K plus 12, 26 and 2K plus 9, and you're going to finish all of this off at 28 strokes a minute and 2K plus 5 pace for 1 minute. Then you rest 2 minutes, do it again, rest 2 minutes, do it again. Now, depending on how you feel today, I know some people want to push these sessions a little bit harder. So what I really want you to do is stick to this pace guide for the first 2 intervals. And if you're feeling a little bit, I want to go faster than this, on the third interval, the third time round, start at 2K plus 16 and then increase to plus 13, plus 10, etc., etc. So you're basically going 2 seconds faster than you were for the 2 before. And that will hopefully then give you your tough workout that you're looking for. But I really don't want you to do this and completely drain your system, especially if you're doing this on the 10K plan. The plan is designed to kind of bring you in and out of various intensities so that you have enough energy to do this 10K plan over the course of the 8 weeks. If you push everything up to the max all the time, even if you're alternating bottom tiers, you're going to end up just driving yourself into the ground and you'll run out of energy, all right? And the final thing to say is that for those folks who don't have a 2K training pace, I know I haven't really kind of given an alternative way to think about this. So you're starting these intervals off around about 5 out of 10 intensity, and then you're gradually increasing as you go through, which should naturally happen as your stroke rate goes up anyway. And then for that 1 minute at the end of each interval, it should feel around about 9 or 10 out of 10, okay? So this is what we're doing with intensity. We're starting off around about 5 out of 10, and then we're pushing through for the end of the interval. Then we take 2 minutes rest, then we do it again, 2 minutes rest, do it again, all right? Let's just get on with it, less talking. Whoosh with the straps, hey? That means action, doesn't it? So 5 minutes, 20 strokes a minute at 2K plus 18, and then we flow through this whole 15 minutes, okay? In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So remember, 20 strokes per minute is a lovely stroke rate because it's 1 stroke every 3 seconds. So you can just look at your monitor and just count down in 3s. And then if you've got me and a video in the corner, or an iPad attached to your machine or whatever, follow along with me for stroke rate 2, or if you're listening to this in the podcast, you can hear the whoosh of my flywheel, and that will let you know when I'm rowing, taking each stroke. But I promise you, once you get, I don't know, about a minute, maybe 2 minutes into this, the groove will just kick in, and you'll just develop a flow for the stroke rate. And you'll not be thinking too hard about trying to follow me or counting down in threes and things. So, what I want to try and do is get a majority of technique chat out the way in this first interval. Because I know I've got a bad habit of dragging it on and the row's almost complete and I'm still talking about technique, which isn't very useful if this is your first time doing one of my videos and thinking about technique. So let's try and do a big overview to get you thinking technique through the rest of the row without me having to talk about it the whole time. So the point is that you're trying to flow from phase to phase of your rowing stroke. And although it's broken into these phases, if you can try and have a nice smooth rhythm as you drive back and then recover forwards and not have to think about each phase of the stroke, then hopefully that flow will naturally come. That said, we do need to talk about the various stages. So, at the front of the machine, right before you're about to take the stroke, that's known as the catch. And ideally, you want to be in a forward lean to like a 1 o'clock position with your arms straight, ready to pick up the handle when you start the leg drive. But you also want to make sure you have slid far enough to the front of the machine for your shins to be vertical. And that gets you the right amount of compression with your legs. And then if you can think about having a good posture up on your sit bones with your body tilting forwards over the hips rather than crumpled down like Gollum. So basically you're just being nice and powerful, ready for the start of the stroke. Like I say, arms straight with your fingers hooked over the handle. Okay, not grabbing it, just nicely hooked over it to let the power transfer through. Okay, our first change up is happening in 3 strokes. So 3, 2, 1. Here we go, 22 strokes a minute, 2K plus 15. Just take a moment to work out how much of a push that you need from your legs in order to increase your stroke rate and your pace. And that's the point here, is that the power in the rowing stroke comes from your legs. It doesn't come from actually pulling on the handle. So as you push your legs or your feet into the machine, then everything we did in the catch position, that forward lean, arms straight, good posture, fingers hooked over the handle, that all comes together to allow the power from your legs to surge and flow through your body into the handle without you having to use any pulling motion. You're just hanging off the handle as you push your legs into it or into the machine. So have a wee look at your arms as you row and think, am I bending them quite early, or am I keeping them nice and straight as I push into the machine? Same thing with that forward lean. Am I holding a forward lean as I push my feet into the foot plates, or am I swinging my back early and looking at the sky, which wastes so much potential power that could be going into the machine? Then, once your leg drive is about halfway through, that's the point when you want to swing your body over your hips into that backwards lean, because that backswing adds power into the machine as your legs begin to fade. And then right after you start that backswing, that's when you finally bend your elbows and pull the handle into a finish. Okay, 3 more strokes, then we're changing up again. Last one, here we go. 24 strokes a minute. And 2K plus, where are we? 12. I couldn't do the maths. Sorry. I was thinking, where was I before? So this one only lasts for 3 minutes before we change up again. And make sure to think about these pace increases, I don't know what happened to me there, as something that comes from your leg drive. Okay? So you push harder with your legs. You're not thinking about pulling any harder with your arms. You'll notice that as you push harder with the legs, if you're in the correct position, that forward lean, straight arms, that the force sensation going into the handle will feel stronger. Your hang off the handle will feel more powerful, and as a result, your final pull will feel more powerful. But that's all because of the legs. You're not thinking about pulling the handle. Try to think about pushing the machine away from you as you push your legs into it. If you can think about pushing the machine away rather than pushing yourself back, or worse, pulling the handle, it should really help with your body position and power transfer. Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 26, 2K plus 9. You should feel a surge increase as you went up to 26. And as we get to these higher rates, remember, part of the stroke rate comes from a more powerful, faster leg drive, but you mirror that with a slightly faster recovery too. So you do that by, when you pull the handle to a finish, you release it instantly at the same pace. So in, out, in, out. It's almost like you're bouncing the handle off your chest, but a nice rhythm to it. Okay, you're not jerking it out. You're not forcing it out. You're using your body's natural springiness to get that handle forwards. All right, last minute coming up. In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. 28. Let that handle be what starts your recovery. Let it trigger your forward lean back over your hips, so that by the time the handle is over your knees, your body has already got into that forward lean position, and all you have to do is bend your knees to recover to the front of the machine. Here we go. 4 more. 3, 2, 1. There we go. And that's the first one done. Fair flies by, doesn't it? At 15 minutes. Just zaps on. So This 2 minutes should be a good recovery time. You won't get fully recovered, and that then creates like a cardiac drift of intensity through this workout. So 2 minutes is enough to stop this really tipping you over the edge. But when you get into the next 5, you go, all right, and you use that first 5 minutes for almost further recovery, even though you are still active. But you'll probably find by the end of the next one, by the time you get to those 28s, it'll feel a little bit tougher. So maybe that just felt like an 8 out of 10, that last 1 minute. And then maybe you'll find the next one, that last 1 minute will be a 1 out of 10. Drink. I say 1 out of 10. I think I meant to say 9 out of 10. Wonder what I said. That'll be an interesting one to come back into the edit suite and go, what was he on about? Oh, 1 out of 10? How's that going to happen? I think it's because I had 1 on my mind because of 1 minute. Okay, we've got just over 20 seconds to go. Just have a little rock of your backside. Just changes the point where your sit bones are squishing your glutes, and hopefully that'll minimize any pain or uncomfortableness, if that's a word. 10 seconds to go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back into 20 strokes a minute and 2K plus 18 pace. Now with any luck, having already been through this once, this 20 strokes per minute, especially after that 28 when we just finished, but this 20 strokes a minute should feel like a real walk in the park. And use this 5 minutes, or as much as you need, to really refine what's going on with your technique. Work on that timing, that connection between pushing the foot plates and then the handle picking up the flywheel. And then think about your body angles, your shins, vertical, forward lean, arms straight as you start the drive. You might want to add in a little external rotation of your elbows. That might help to keep your arms straight, engage your lats. Make sure your fingers are loosely hooked over the handles. Nice open palm. Let's air circulate through your hands, and also gives you like an extra centimetre length compared to if you had a death grip on it. And go back to those shins. If you find as you come forwards, in order to get your shins vertical, you have to raise your heels a little bit. Don't sweat it. As long as when it comes to that timing connection at the front, you push your heels into the foot plate, doesn't matter. What you don't want to do is come so far forwards that your heels are right off the foot plate, and as such your backside shoots out from underneath you because of how tightly sprung you are at the front. So don't worry. You may have seen other folks tell you not to raise your heels, but as long as you're getting that timing right of the power pushing in At the same time, the handle connects, and don't sweat it. If you find your heels are coming right off the foot plate and your shins are nowhere near vertical, then it could either be poor flexibility or your feet are too high in the foot stretchers. So try dropping them a notch. See if that change in body angle helps you with your compression at the front. And then as you push, hold that forward lean, arms straight until about halfway, and then swing your back and pull in your arms. Get those elbows through your sides and try to keep your wrists flat. And if that needs a small flare out of the elbows, that's fine. But what I don't recommend is a full-on chicken wing out to the side, because that puts all the force into your delts. Okay, one more stroke. Now we're up to 22s, come on. A bit more of a push from the legs. You should be going 3 seconds faster and 2 strokes per minute faster. And remember, that handle, you want to finish round about sternum height. You don't want to be all the way down into your lap, but also try not to be up in your throat, because again, both of those positions change what muscles you're using at the back of the stroke, which can be more prone to injury and certainly not as strong and efficient as using your lats if you finish around about sternum height. Then make sure, get that handle back out, the same rhythm you pulled it in at. In, out. In, out. And then the handle away triggers your forward lean. And then by the time the handle is past your knees, all you have to do is bend your knees to effortlessly slide back to the front of the machine, ready for the next stroke. And just remember, posture is really important at both ends of the stroke. Both when you start, nice powerful posture up on your sit bones, and when you come into a finish as well, you want a nice braced core, sit bones still connected to the seat, even though you're leaning back. And the real telltale for getting this wrong is if you tug on the foot straps with your feet. So if you get to the back of the stroke and tug on the foot straps, you'll notice your knees pop up, your tailbone tucks underneath you, and your posture is ruined
which is not only bad from trying to keep stroke rate up, or from a power point of view, but also the chances of injuring your lower back, because all the force is suddenly going through your L2 and L3 and your lumbar. Okay, 2 more, 1 more, up to 24s, 2K plus 12. Now this, for me anyway, I find 24 is when the power and rhythm all come together. 24 strokes a minute, 2K plus 12 feels such a natural flow for me, and hopefully it does for you too. Remember, it's all about pushing with the legs. If you suddenly find you're dropping off pace, then just think about pushing with your legs and getting all of that leg drive into the machine. So shins vertical for the perfect amount of compression, and then at the back of the machine your legs come down. You don't stop short with bent knees, although don't go down so far that you lock your knees. It can help, if you're unsure about that, to think about pointing your toes to the front of the machine when you come to the back of the stroke. And that also stops you from tugging on the foot strap. It's a handy tip, that one. Okay. 30 seconds to go on this one. Then we're up to 26 and 2K plus 9. I'm going to dry throat today. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. More of a push from the legs will result in more of a hang off the handle. Combine that with a rhythmic recovery, and you should find your stroke rate and pace have increased to where you want it to be. And we're almost at a close, just over 2 minutes to go on this second interval. Be interested to see what the percentage of max heart rate I'm at the end of this one, just to see if there was a drift up in intensity like I suspected. Although I do tend to look at heart rate more for recovery than I do for the actual effort, mostly because all my training is based around rowing at a specified pace, not a heart rate range. 3, 2, 1, here we go. 28. Remember, more of a push. This is a bigger jump. You're jumping 4 seconds to get to 2K plus 5 on this one. You should really think about that fluid recovery to help you with this higher stroke rate. 20 seconds to go, come on. Try and hold your pace. 10 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. So yeah, last time I finished at 79% of my rowing max heart rate. That time was 85, so that's a bit of a drift. I'd expect the next one to be closer to 90. And that puts this workout, for me anyway, firmly in the mid intensity of my intensity pyramid. Drink. But the other thing was that my heart rate recovered to 70 beats per minute at the end of the first interval. So it'll be interesting to see where it recovers to after 2 minutes in between this one. I hope it wouldn't be too far off. Maybe 75, who knows. I'm gonna have another drink anyway, just see if that helps. And please, don't compare your heart rate or your heart rate ranges to mine. We're all different, okay? So just because I recover fast doesn't mean that there's anything wrong if you don't. Fitness is a huge part to play to, but just think about your own system. Don't think about anyone else's. Okay, I'm at 78 beats per minute right now. And there's 15 seconds to go until start of the next interval. Get yourself ready, 10 seconds. A little wiggle of your backside. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I ended up at 76 then. So not too far off the recovery after the first interval. Now remember, if you've been finding this really easy and you want to go a little bit harder, then start off, basically just every pace is going to be 2 seconds faster than it was before. So if you were rowing at 203 before, then you want to be down at 201 now. And then just increase the same amount as before. So 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. And that should give you a much more intense workout. And hey, if you want to go max pressure for that last 28 strokes a minute, knock yourself out. Oh. It's a good old workout, this one. In the end, you're doing 45 minutes worth of effort, and it really shouldn't feel like that because of how we're going through these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you know, it's kind of mind tricks like that, they're important to learn when it comes to any race, because trust me, that moment of sitting at the beginning of a 2K or even a 1K or a 500, or then the longer distances, 5, 10, or even if you're doing a hour-long time trial, if you're constantly just looking at what you have ahead of you and that huge number or that huge effort, even if it is only over 7 minutes, it's really easy to psych yourself out. So again, the difference between 3 15-minute intervals and 3 times 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mentally, it's just really helpful. So like in a 2K, you can break it down into 500 meters if you wish, or even if your stroke rate is 32 strokes a minute, you might just want to count up to 32 and just keep on doing that until you're done. Or I really like 4s. 4 is the magic number. Just count up to 4 strokes or down, and then another 4 and another 4. You just get into that rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again. And it's almost like, for me anyway, my brain can't look ahead to the total row because it's too busy counting and resetting and just thinking about what the next 4 strokes have in store for me. Speaking of which, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up to 22s, 2K plus 15 or 13 if you are taking the faster route. But yeah, especially on the faster rows, the higher stroke rate, counting in 4s really helps. And even like a half-hour row, if you can break it into chunks, or 10K. And that's what we're doing here. So it's almost like this is the 10K row we're doing over 15 minutes, where the first 5K are at your tempo pace, then 3K slightly faster, then 1.5, or you get what I'm saying. You basically break it into ever decreasing chunks that you go faster and faster on, so that ultimately, by the time you get to 500 meters to go in your 10K, or maybe 2 minutes on a half-hour time trial, you can really get up to sprint speed and come home strong. And that's what I meant in the initial preamble to this row, about the importance of being able to go through rows with negative splits, getting faster as you go through it. Whether that's faster because you are increasing stroke rate or just your power. And just to say, if you're doing a 10K, you don't start off at 20 strokes a minute and then ramp up. That's not that's not what I'm saying in terms of this being like a 10K. It's the pace and intensity. So you're likely in a 10K to start off around about 26 strokes a minute maybe, and then as you get through it, you'll probably increase 28. As you get closer to the end, maybe around about 30, and then sprint home at about 32, 34. Or at least, that's how I row it. Okay, almost at our next change up. 2 more, 1 more. Here we go. 24 strokes a minute, 2K plus 12. I really hope that by doing this gradual increase through the rates, that anyone who's uncomfortable with any of the rates, be it the low 20s or the high 28s, with the matching power, hopefully this has helped you, if only because you're not hanging around on any one rate for too long. And after all, this is why we call it training. You're training your body for how it can move, how it puts in power, how it feels as you increase intensity. And then if you can consciously be aware of how your technique may alter as you either just go through the pace and rate changes, or as a result of any fatigue that sets in, then you can start to be more aware of those triggers that can cause your pace to slip. that it's easy to just put down to being tired and not having the energy, whereas oftentimes it's being a little bit fatigued, and therefore your technique falls apart just enough to lose the pace. 2, 1, here we go. 26, 2K plus 9, more of a push from your legs to increase that rate, and hopefully your pace as a result. Just to finish off that fatigue and technique thing, usually what goes with fatigue is posture. That you start to slump at the front and the back. So really think about a powerful posture at the front of the machine. Don't overslide or overlean, because both of them will cost you pace. Just stay with your forwards to 1 o'clock and backwards to 11 o'clock with a good old braced core at either end, just rocking forwards and backwards and forwards. Come on, almost there. One more and we're up at 28. Come on. Remember to finish strong, and then get that handle out in the same rhythm. This is all fluid. You're not pausing at any stage. Just finish out. Finish out. Oh, come on. 20 seconds to go. Keep on pushing with those legs. Just keep pushing. Three, 2, 1. Nicely done. 88% of max. I finished that, which is about right. Remember though, I had on between 5 and 10% of my max heart rate purely because I talked to you the whole time. So have a quick drink, make sure to just shake off a little bit, and then we'll do a 2-minute cool down. Hang on. Whew. 2-minute cool down is there. Oh. All right, you ready for cool down? Lots of just grunting from me, so let's get into this so that we can row while I grunt. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go 18 strokes a minute again. Just pick a pace that you know feels like you're just winding down here. Could be round about 2K plus 30 to start. And then you just gradually ease off as we get to the end of the 2 minutes. It's a good old sweaty workout today. Now, I know it's quite late on to be saying this, but if you've been doing this on the Ergzone app, you will have noticed that it was just programmed in as 15-minute intervals instead of it being the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. And that's because of an issue with the Concept 2 monitor, nothing to do with Ergzone. But even on 0 rests, the Concept 2 monitor waits for the next stroke before it starts the next interval. I mean, after I think 3 seconds it starts automatically, but because there's that little pause, and you may have that pause and I might not have that pause, or the other way around, in order to keep kind of as close to being in sync with the video as possible, we have to try and minimize that pause. And I do that by setting up 15-minute intervals instead of the split ones. So I know it's different if you're not on a Concept 2. You're probably sitting there going, that doesn't matter for me. I'm on a water rower. But it really is right now the only way around it. And even if Concept 2 did fix it with a firmware update, trying to get all of the updates or all the machines around the world updated just for the sake of my RowAlong videos, I think it's a little bit much to ask. But there is a solution. Oh, by the way, this end part, just use it as time to stretch and pack up and stuff while I explain this. There's a solution-ish. If you have a Concept 2 rowing machine and you upload your sessions, I mean, if you're rowing that on Ergzone, it should automatically upload your session to the Concept 2 logbook. If you go to ergmonkey.com, you can get a free account there. Connect your logbook to that, and that gives you a much better data analysis of your rows, okay? And with that, you can then go into those 15-minute intervals and see a lot clearer how you got on through individual moments within those rows. So you can take these 15-minute intervals of today's row and look at the graph, and then you can look at your 5-minute, and it'll show you when you're spiked your strokes per minute too high or too low, or your pace has gone up too high or too low. Yes, as of yet, you can't kind of subdivide it down and get an average, which is actually I've asked Philip at Ergmonkey if that's something that he could do. But at least you can go there and you can see what's going on, because ideally, yes, I'd have this set up as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rest 2, but it can't work because we're going to end up so out of sync with each other. And I know that frustrates a lot of people. There's one of the more recent RowAlongs, I was kind of in a conversation, I think it was Steve, that was asking about it, kind of saying, but why can't you? I kind of want to see all that data at the end. And I'm saying, well, we just can't, we're going to end up so out of sync. And to be honest, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's what I see on the monitor from stroke to stroke that matters in a training session. That if I'm meant to be rowing at 205, at 18 strokes a minute, say, I want to make sure that I see 18 in 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the monitor for every single stroke. I don't want, there's no value to me in afterwards looking at it and going, oh, I was rowing at 207 at 16 strokes a minute, because it's too late and I've blown the session by that point. I need to be able to see it there and then. So from a training point of view, I really don't care about coming out and analysing afterwards. It's more that instantaneous response of what I get on the monitor is vital, and afterwards is then just interesting, which I then think that the Ergmonkey solution is the one to look at for the time being, because there just isn't a Concept 2 solution, because yeah. However, if you want to do it as the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or like any of the other sessions that have like 0 rest times like this, then feel free to just take my workout on Ergzone, duplicate it, and then just set in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with the rates and the paces that you're supposed to hit, and hopefully you're not going to end up too out of sync with me. But I certainly think that if I was to do that and you were to do it as well, then the chances, I mean, we could be like combined between the two of us, we could end up like 34 seconds out of sync. But so by the last interval, when I say go, one of us is, or say you're still sitting there for 34 seconds waiting
for your monitor to go down to the start of your interval. So that's why they're done this way. I know this is a big rant and you probably don't care at this stage, but that's why. Okay, so yeah. As such, I do like giving hashtags at the end of my rows so that you can kind of say, so I know you've made it to the end, basically. And so let's just do sync sucks. So SYNC for sync, and then sucks. So sync sucks because it does, because it's a problem. This is going to be an issue. This is where something like Peloton actually is a great idea because it just controls the system and that's it. It controls the countdown and whatever. But even if I edited the video to match, because I do edit the video to match what my monitor does. So you'll find that like 3 times 15-minute row with 2 minutes rest in between should take what, 3:45 plus 49 minutes to get to from start to finish. But even for a simple session like that, when you watch the video, you'll see, oh, hang on, that actually took 49 and 4 seconds. And that's because of the interval. So I adjust the video to match. So hopefully it all works. But yeah, anyway, God, I'm ranting. So well done for making it this far because even I bored myself at the end of that bit. So yeah, so sync sucks is the hashtag. Thank you so much for doing this session. Let's get back on track, eh? Thank you very much for doing this session. It's exactly what I was looking for today. A proper good old hard sweaty work that wasn't a max workout. Ready to then recover and come back into the next set of sessions. It's the end of the weekend for me, and to be honest, I don't know what was wrong with me this weekend. I just couldn't stop eating. And it's still that way. Even as it was before I came up for the road today, I ended up walking past the kids' treat cupboard where we keep like when we give them like a little chocolate bar for if they've been out for a run as a treat or whatever. Don't worry, we don't feed them. I don't reward them. They're not like a dog. I don't have a clicker and go every time they go for a run and throw them a treat. But yeah, I just reached in there, picked out a penguin, and snarfed that down and wandered in here almost mindlessly. I don't know what's just strangely my body just wants, and it's because I do the 16/8 fasting thing during the week anyway, where I don't eat after 10 o'clock and I don't eat again until 2 o'clock the next day. But then I do eat properly. I take in enough, like say around about 2,300 calories of relatively healthy food throughout the day. So I'm taking in enough fuel and whatever. But for some strange reason this weekend, it's like, I'm wondering whether someone's like smoking drugs next door and I've just got the munchies. They're not. But yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it's I was watching the tennis last night, the US Open final, and I was kind of looking at it thinking, oh, it's a life that has completely passed me by in terms of being, because the 2 teenage girls, fittest things that you've ever seen, just knocking lumps out of a tennis ball to each other. And then I'm just looking at my 46-year-old self and going, I can just think back to my squash playing days and stuff. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm eating through depression. But anyway, back onto the healthy stuff. Sometimes, you know what? I actually sometimes advocate having these kind of cheat weekends where you're just going to take the foot off the gas, just eat a little bit dirty and whatever, just to kind of keep my body guessing, but also just to keep my brain satisfied. Because otherwise, if I was training for a gold medal, or if I was even doing this to do a big row to raise thousands of pounds for charity or something, or there was like a purpose behind this, then I could kind of see the point of this kind of almost flagellation, isn't it? Of not eating rubbish and things. But every now and then you're like, you know what? I just want to sit down. Last night, sat down and had a nice, I had a sugar donut, in fact. That's how bad things are. While watching the tennis, Julie and I just sat there watching it, completely captivated by it, totally enthralled by the match. But I was just so happy, just sitting on the couch with my wife, and I thought, I don't want to be sitting there doing sit-ups in the corner of the room and all that kind of stuff. I just want to have some time just to kind of relax and whatever, and then I'll get back into it again and fine. Mental health is really important when it comes to anything like this. I'm a real advocate of this, that you need to be happy with what you're doing, that if you're miserable, either exercising or weight loss or whatever, then you need to find another way. You can't hate it. It's really important. Anyway, that's a rant for a completely different video. I keep on threatening to make one about how I eat and all that kind of stuff, and maybe one day I will, but frankly, it's too narcissistic for me to make it. So, are you still here? Seriously, I wouldn't be here anymore. I'd have gone. Maybe you're doing abs. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe just listen to me talk away, and you're like, I'll just do a few sit-ups while he's chuntering away. So anyway, that's me at the end. Thanks once again for doing this session. I will see you if you're doing the 10K plan in week 5, session 1. Otherwise, I will just see you in one of my other videos. Make sure and check out the loads and loads. There's well over 250 in the channel right now as of September 2021. So go have a sniff around, see some other sessions, and I will see you in whatever session I see you in next. Make sure to say hello, leave a YouTube comment or whatever. And thank you so much for putting up with me, to be honest. So stay safe, take care of yourself, be well. Bye-bye.